Welcome back, folks. Roger Turner is here. He is, of course, the president of United Mutual. Last week on March 20th, they had their special meeting concerning the sublease restrictions. And then yesterday, they had what was really a follow-up to that meeting, correct?
A continuation.
A continuation.
Yes.
A little bit of semantics involved there.
That's okay. Yeah, you're exactly correct. But whatever. Maybe we should recap.
Sure.
Just at the March 20th meeting, essentially there were two things that occurred. Mm-hmm. The first thing, of course, was there was a vote. This was essentially a confirmation vote on the resolution.
Right.
And the reason it's a confirmation vote is because it was, of course, voted and approved previously, but then it has to be held, that's not quite the right word, delayed.
Right.
Implementation has to be delayed for 30 days, and that is essentially to give the community a chance to respond. Mm-hmm. And if the community responds and there's a lot of things to consider, the board can reconsider. Well, usually there isn't. The 30 days pass, and then there's a confirmation vote, and after mm-hmm. that, the resolution becomes law. In this case, on the March 20th thing, the resolution was passed, mm-hmm. but following the passing of the resolution, there was a petition submitted by the membership. The law allows for a petition to be submitted. There are obviously rules about the number of signatures. It's like 5% of the membership. Obviously, every signature has to be, the person has to be a member, mm-hmm. has to be a member in good standing, and all of those things. And so, as a result of that, the board did two things at that meeting. First of all, they authorized staff to proceed with Martin and Chapman. They are essentially professional vote management mm-hmm. team that United has used on several occasions, and I think the other mutuals as well. Mm-hmm. The first thing, of course, would be the validation of these signatures. There has to be the correct number, and each signature has to be validated. So that was the authorization for staff to proceed, and at the same time proceed to take a look at the voting schedule. The second thing that was done was that there was a concern about whether this could be implemented immediately mm-hmm. or whether it needed to wait until the community vote. And so they authorized our corporate counsel to look into this, and there was an answer by the corporate counsel which was reviewed then by the board at this meeting yesterday, which mm-hmm. was a continuation then of the meeting on the 20th. And the board, after considerable review, first of all, they determined that they would not allow the implementation during this abeyance period. Mm-hmm. So it was essentially a combination of legal advice and really business judgment mm-hmm. Not to get the mutual in trouble
right.
in this period of not knowing for sure what's going to happen. So there won't be any implementation of it until after the community vote, depending upon what that community vote is.
Right.
Another thing yesterday, the board approved the schedule
okay.
for voting. The law spells out a number of restrictions on mm-hmm. what the board has to do. This is not an option for the board. The board must respond.
Right.
It's the law that they respond to a legitimate petition. Mm-hmm. So, and in that law, there's a time schedule. Like I think the first thing is that they have to act within 20 days of receiving this. Well, the board certainly did that. They
yes.
virtually acted immediately. But the bottom line is that between last week's meeting and yesterday, staff met with Martin and Chapman, and they drafted a schedule for the voting.
Okay.
This involves providing Martin and Chapman with all the documentation, whatever that is necessary, and enabling Martin and Chapman to have sufficient time to get things together, to get things mailed out, to put a date on the end.
Right, so this will be a mailed out ballot.
Right, it'll be another mailed out thing to all of the members.
Okay.
And I think the most important thing is that the date of return, I think, is May 20th.
The date that these ballots must be returned.
Right, that
back.
all
okay.
the members will get notification of this from staff.
Okay.
But just as a heads up, it is going to be May 20th that they must be returned. The board approved the schedule, which is allowing members to have 30 days to review this. There's really only one item on the ballot.
Mm-hmm.
The members are really going to vote really for approving this resolution, or they are going to vote to overturn the resolution.
Okay, you said 30 days to review it. Does that mean you anticipate the ballots to go out around April 20th? And that's what you mean? They'll have those ballots in those hands
I think,
for...
in fact, April 19th, something like that.
So they'll have
But
those ballots in their hands
They will go out,
for that
so
time.
they will have 30 days.
Okay.
And the wording will be determined by the board.
Okay.
The wording has not been determined yet, but the board's intent is to make the wording very clear.
Okay.
So that when someone reads this, they know what yes and no is. So I can't tell you that at the moment because the board still has to review that.
Okay.
And that will be done. That will be done next Wednesday. And after that, that information will be passed to Martin and Chapman, who will put together the ballots, and then they will go forward. So that's where we're at.
One of the issues that was brought up yesterday I found interesting, and it was debated amongst the board and even people in the audience, was that stipulation from when you took the original vote in February, and 30 days have passed, and you had the confirmation of the vote on March 20th. And people were saying, well, wait a minute, this petition technically came in after that amount of time. And your lawyer explained, well, during that time, that vote still needed to be confirmed. It could have been changed. That was the comment period. However, once the vote was taken, which was March 20th, then any petition had to be turned in within a set amount of time afterwards, which actually was done. So it was done a minute later. Right. But there was some confusion there. I can understand that, where people were saying, well, wait a second. They had that time between the February board meeting, and March 20th to get in their petition. They didn't. Doesn't that make it null and void? But she, explained, no, it doesn't. And there is a little confusion there.
Yeah, I understand that. When a resolution is originally passed, it's passed as a proposed resolution, okay? And it stays as a proposed resolution until it is confirmed, after the 30-day period.
Right.
It is simply an opportunity for the community to take whatever action in soliciting changes that they might want the board to consider. I think it's entirely possible on some resolutions that there could be significant changes that would be proposed by the community, and if the board adopted those changes, then it would require another 30 days.
And we've seen that happen.
I expect, yes. But in this case, and in most cases, that is not what happens. It is there for 30 days, and there's not much response. And as there was no specific input to change that resolution, and it was not changed. Right. So it was confirmed really as it was originally proposed.
And another issue that came up that the lawyer talked about, really in a sense voiced her opinion about, was that the law that came in effect, I think it was January of 2012, basically stating that the membership with just 5% of signatures could challenge a new rule, a new regulation, whatever it may be, and call for a membership vote. And she talked about that. And I will say that it was not us. There was a National Weather Service that jumped in right when she was talking about that. We have no control over that. It was some kind of a warning and/or test. You all saw it at home, but Jerry mentioned that when
Yes,
he came
Jerry.
back, he got word, and so she was able to restate her statement. But
Yes.
I want you to know it's not us that was cutting things out, and it won't be on the replay. But
Well, thank you very much for.
It does happen.
Of course, we see it at home. Yes.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for following up on that, because it gave the board and the viewers an opportunity to for us to redo, though there were a couple important things.
Right.
I think that occurred during that time. So thank you for that opportunity. I'm glad it was corrected.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. As we said, it does happen. So
And that, by the way, was our legal counsel's personal opinion.
right,
Obviously, everybody can have that. I think basically she was simply surprised that the state had made that kind of provision. But, you know, all kinds of things come out of these. There are so many changes. It's a real challenge, and I think that the Mutual is very fortunate to retain legal counsel, because there are so many legal things to consider
right.
in the board's business today.
Yeah, and that state provision, you know, whether you like it or not, in a sense follows what our state government does, and we've certainly seen when our state legislation has passed something, and then a group gets a proposition on the ballot. They have to have so many signatures to get it on.
Right.
And, you know, we're kind of going through something like this right now. It's in the Supreme Court, but it's reverse. And then you got to look at what's right. But our state provides that system, and it looks as though that the powers that be said we're going to provide that system to homeowners associations as well.
Ken, it's really, you know, really the democratic process.
Right.
Sometimes we would prefer it be a little different, or maybe we don't appreciate it, but at the very least, sometimes it takes so much longer, you know, because of the process,
Right.
than what you would like it to take, but that's what it is.
Yeah, it is. And I would assume that by your next meeting, in other words, your actual monthly meeting, which I think is the 9th,
April 9th.
April 9th, you probably would have the wording that's going to be on the ballot by then.
Oh, we absolutely will.
Yeah, and then you can talk about it then.
Yeah, we absolutely will. Well, anyway, that whole process is moving forward. It's moving forward in a timely manner. In fact,
Very timely.
Yeah, the board had
Yeah.
really a window of
Yeah.
opportunity, and it was a minimum and a maximum, and we are very close to the minimum. So the board did not delay. The board acted responsibly to move it forward. And as I said, the Martin and Chapman has already confirmed that the signatures were validated, because had that not been the case,
Right.
we wouldn't have anything to talk about
Yeah,
here, because
exactly.
there would be no petition. So
That was the first step.
that was step one, right? So,
All right. Well, once we, obviously by your next meeting, but as we gain more information about the ballot, we'll bring that forward, and we'll obviously see you back on here at the very least on the Wednesday following your next monthly board meeting, and which is April 9th. And here's our information here, that what we're going to be doing today is at 1:30 today, we're replaying the meeting from yesterday.
Oh.
Now, the March 20th meeting, we replayed on Tuesday already. That way we wanted to put it forward of the live meeting tomorrow, otherwise it would have been out of context. And then today, we are replaying the meeting from yesterday. So this is again, it'll be at 1:30. I think it ran about 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. So if you want to watch that, that will be on from 1:30 till whatever it is today, like 3:45 or something like that.
Well, thank you again for your clarification on that. I'm sure people, you know, would like, if they missed the first one or the second one, they have an opportunity to see the whole thing.
All right, and on our replay, we don't have the interruption by the National Weather Service because we take it directly. However, you'll see them talk about that. So if you didn't watch it yesterday, you'll be going like, why are they repeating themselves? Well, that's because of yesterday. Roger, thank you very much for coming on and clarifying a lot.
Thank you for receiving us. We appreciate the opportunity.
All right, we'll see you soon, I'm sure. You take care. And folks, coming up next is O'Connor Mortuary.
Thank you.
Yeah.